Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. We're back with our weekly crypto news update with Michael, who's back in Bali now. You get around a lot, mate, and you're a bit under the weather, so I appreciate you jumping on every week.
Cheers. It's always the plane, man. It gets me every time.
That's
But
all
yeah, a
right.
little crook, but we're good. We're good to go.
Awesome. Appreciate you being here, but we've got some big news items coming through again, as always. We've had a big bounce right around this region we spoke about a few weeks ago, that 78 to 74. So let's, any thoughts before we get into it, or you want to jump into the slides?
No, let's jump in. Yeah, so obviously we had peak fear and doom, like I guess this time last week, and then even over the weekend. And exactly as sort of what, all the Nostradamus out there were saying at that level, we bumped. And we've got obviously some reasons why that happened. It wasn't purely just a crypto play, but we got down to, I think, 77, I think I saw, or
I think it
just
was
maybe just a bit
74 and a
below.
half in that week.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it got pretty dicey there. Like ETH tapped $1,400. So levels that we haven't seen in a long time. But ultimately, again, the, the shenanigans continue that we've paused tariffs except for China for a period of time, and that's what's caused the surge. And so I think that's happened right across, not just in the crypto market, but right across all markets. Um,
Yeah, and a
yeah,
little bit of interesting fight back as well from China selling record amount of treasuries, trying to push up interest rates when we've been saying Trump wants to crash the market to pull down interest rates. So this is all causing a bit of tension, but markets like the news that we got that pause on the tariffs.
Yeah, well, I mean, China holding like 750 billion in bonds, and I think they offloaded about 50 billion of them just to sort of like flood the market in them. And so, like, shenanigans are afoot. It goes to show that China's not going to go down quietly. We've seen it in Australia. It seems like we're just going to take the pacifist approach a little bit. I saw Singapore, which is quite upset, considering they have a trade deficit with the US. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a watch this space. I've seen a lot of people saying that they want that Trump's wanting like a Bretton Woods 2.0 type sort of scenario where everyone comes to Mar-a-Lago, sits down, and they all sign up to buy all the US debt and to pay a bunch of money. And Chamath, I think, was saying that if he can just annoy everybody enough, get what he wants, and then cut all income taxes for anyone under 150K, then it'll be all forgiven by the time they hit midterms. So this is going to get wild. Watch the space.
100%. Keep watching Evil Elites.
Yeah, yeah, big time. Um, so Paul Atkins, he was the previous SEC commissioner, I believe, from back in when was it? Early 2000s. Yep, 2002, 2008. He has just been confirmed as the SEC commissioner again. And for those that are unaware, he's been fairly vocally pro Bitcoin, and so this is obviously like the wildest dream come true from our previous years, where we've got a pro crypto head of the SEC. So I mean, this would have just sent markets to oblivion, like previously, but this is the world that we live in now. So
Yeah, I think the Trump admin also dropped the crypto fraud task force or something. So again, it's just this pro crypto backdrop that we want to see for this bull market to have its next part of this cycle.
it makes me think that maybe the bull market hasn't even started. Like maybe we just had the entree so far. Like this might spill over all into next year. Like we'll talk about that, I guess, in the coming weeks. But we might not even started here yet.
I don't think any of
Um,
us will complain if that's the case.
so Larry Fink obviously has been shilling like just crypto assets since the second he could sell them, and he's been writing out to I guess investors, pretty much saying that Bitcoin could threaten the dollar's reserve status, and that ultimately like it's getting legs, and so people see this now as well. We saw the decoupling from Bitcoin from the general stock market. It held up quite well for longer until we got that sort of last leg down. But again, in previous years, we would have had the reverse effect. Like that FUD news just would have just destroyed the Bitcoin price, but it did decouple pretty well from the stock market.
Yeah, and I mean, we spoke about this in the group the other night when someone posted thoughts on how Bitcoin's trading, and I think it was around 82 where it's back at 82 now. So you take all that out, and the fact that it's had such that huge run from wherever it bottomed 16, 17 to over 100K, and now it's just sitting around 82. In previous years, if it had been on a parabolic run like that, and then the stock market had its worst day in ages, and global stock markets are freezing because they're plunging so much and down 25%, you wouldn't think that Bitcoin would be down 50%. in that couple of weeks or whatever. So it's held up better, I think, than any of us could have hoped
Yeah.
for with everything that's happening.
And I think what it's done is it's turned a lot of the new generation of crypto investors, like it's turned them towards Bitcoin. People have started to realize, like, people have been around for longer, like yourself, have always known it was Bitcoin first, and then you start dabbling. I think a lot of the new sentiment from new community members was, it was the boomer coin, it was boring, but I think people have seen the light and see exactly why Bitcoin is, 60% of the blockchain market.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, So BlackRock also lists their first ETP, which is an ETF inside Europe, and so I think what did you say, 50 billion in the first day. So again, there's appetite. Like there's plenty of appetite around there, and while Europe has obviously been understandably quite upset at what's going on in the US, and generally is a lot more left leaning in a lot of things compared to what's happening in the US. But it goes to show there's still a huge amount of appetite here for Bitcoin and digital assets.
Yeah. Big geopolitical backdrop and censorship and blah blah blah, all the things that tie in that are great for Bitcoin. But this one was really got me excited. For those that don't know, Bitfinex is one of the oldest exchanges, and the one that a lot of people went to back after the Mt. Gox explosion and whatnot, and they're tightly tied with Tether and that type of thing. But more importantly, they were the first ones, I think, to really integrate Lightning Network. And so when I see that they're finally integrating stacks, and there's been some hints that something bigger is coming, I'm just wondering if they're, again, this is the push to make stacks the premier layer 2 on one of the oldest, most trusted exchanges. Are they going to start to use Tether a lot more on stacks? Are they going to start to use some of the newer Bitcoin-backed stablecoins that are on stacks? So I think this paves the way for a lot of possible things, tech development and the adoption of the stacks ecosystem. So this is probably bigger news than a lot of people realize.
We spoke about this about a month ago that there was a huge narrative around the Bitcoin L2s, and then it kind of like fizzled. And there was a lot of like fight around a lot of them not actually really being that Bitcoin centric or that not decentralized. And so I guess this just leans back into stacks because that narrative is going to be essential. If we do get a ripping bull market, people are still going to want to use their Bitcoin in smart contract protocols. And again, Stacks is the premier network. It's the oldest network. It's the most trusted network. So yeah, keep your eyes on the STX developments, I would say.
Awesome. Yep.
Kraken also, I guess, integrating MasterCard for crypto payments throughout the EU and the UK. Now, I've seen a lot of wallets integrating crypto payments throughout the EU, and it seems like it's much easier to launch there. And so Kraken being the premier exchange, mainly for US customers, I would say. But the fact that they are, trending this direction, and Mastercard is wanting a piece of this action now as well. And payments is huge because you think about the fees that they generate, and these legacy payment processes are not just going to allow themselves to get blockbusted. And so the fact that they're here actively trying to push this now, they're going to adopt the technology before the technology adopts them effectively and absorbs them.
Yeah, and what I was going to mention. Oh yeah, the Bybit card's still available for free, guys. That link down below. So it's just great to see more exchanges bringing out these crypto debit cards where you can just tap and pay with your crypto. And that other news item related to Kraken we've got up next is Voltisig, which we've covered a lot in previous episodes. So they go live next Tuesday night. I think it's 11 p.m. Aussie time if you're whitelisted, and then it'll be available on the DEX. And then the next day, it's going to be listed on Kraken. So that's another big partnership for them. And the fact that 100% of all the fees and in the wallet go to those that are staking their vault is pretty cool as well.
Yeah, pretty wild. The fact that these types of revenues can be massive, and so the fact that from day dot is coming out to token holders is wild. I spoke about this last week that if Aave and Uniswap start doing that, then those tokens are going to be so valuable, but they're not. And so the fact that Volt's doing it day dot, huge.
Nice.
All right, so getting into, I guess, just some of the broader, like sort of less macro and more crypto specific. So there was a lot of FUD obviously going around about Ethereum, and it's, $1,400 it did hit. And then this article is now 2 days old. And so people are saying, okay, $1,000 could be the actual bottom. The price of ETH hadn't been at $1,400, I think, in nearly 3 years, or the better part of 3 years. And so for those who have been around in the space and they can see protocols really, really struggle to move liquidity because you've got to remember that liquidity is put in by the users. It's not put in by the protocol devs. And so for all of that volume, all of the building that's happened on Ethereum, all of the applications, all of the liquidity, all the stablecoin activity, for that to just disappear and move somewhere else is highly, highly unlikely. And it's not going to happen quickly. And so for me, I just see deep opportunity here on Ethereum. And whether or not you agree with the narrative or the direction, like it's not going to disappear. Like it's not going to drop out of the top 50. It's not going to drop out of the top 10. So the longer this goes on, it's just more opportunities. And again, you might still think that, Ethereum's not the future and you might be more into Solana or a Bitcoin L2 or Sui or whatever it might be. But this is still not going away. And so massive ETH opportunities, I envision anyway.
Yeah, and hopefully a pivot back to decentralization and building the decentralized internet it's set out to be. That's what I really want to see. Yeah.
Yeah, they need to get back to the narrative of scaling the base layer. I think the L2 narrative has been for short-term usability because it just became unusable. But ultimately, they've got to be able to go back to that like multi-sharded base layer, and let's hope that it does push that direction. So Lens Protocol, we spoke about Aave last week. So Lens has been purchased by, I believe, by Aave, by the Aave team. And so this is all part of one Aave family. So now they're launching their own L2 as well, and it'll be ZK enabled. And so again, just super well-funded protocols, yet another ETH L2. But for those that are airdrop hunters, they've got their own stable coin. You can pay it in gas. I would go and have a play around here and just see what's coming because, again, another very well-funded protocol.
And Lens Protocol is in that social finance, and that's one of the things I've been talking about is that we haven't had that killer app yet. Someone needs to build a decentralized Facebook or a decentralized Twitter or whatever it is. So social fi is another thing I'd love to see become cool again and actually someone build an awesome, really user-friendly app that's decentralized and protects all your data.
100%. Solana jumping on the ZK, I guess, train as well and looking to incentivize developers to be able to build like ZK tech on top of Solana. And so this is all going to be, really, really like prevalent, I guess, in a lot of the developer space because Solana does have a huge amount of devs and they've seen the narrative over on the ETH L2 side. And even, Thorchain jumping on this as well because they've added, interoperability with Solana. And you got to have that shielding layer so that no one wants, when you go buy a pizza with your crypto, that the pizza delivery guy can see everything inside your wallet. Like no one wants to live in that world. Yeah. And so this stuff is essential, I think, for user adoption long term.
And this all ties into the pro crypto backdrop, the fact that Tornado Cash and the pressure's off, and maybe they're starting to lean more that privacy is okay. I spoke about how they dropped that crypto fraud task force. So yeah, this is all just good developments.
Yep, and then you've got the Web3 Foundation, which is the foundation behind Polkadot, also jumping on this. So for anyone who does not remember, the Polkadot protocol had two chains. There was Kusama, which was the testnet chain, and Polkadot was the mainnet. And the only thing that was different about Kusama is that it did have its own token that had real value on it. Now, obviously, this chain has become super redundant. And so the Web3 Foundation has given 1% of the whole supply of DOT, 10 million DOT, which is at current price is about $35 million, to developers to turn the Kusama chain into something. Because they tested it 2 months ago and they hit something like 130K TPS. So the chain can scale, it can do stuff. And they spammed it. They called it the spamming, and they absolutely just got all of the node providers to absolutely flood the network, and it held up, didn't crash, only used something like 35% of its capability, and got to a 130K TPS. Yeah. But they're wanting ZK tech. That's what they want, and they are even saying, bring us mixers, bring us privacy tokens. They want the dark side of blockchain to all exist on the Kusama network. And so if you're a developer or a developer or you're a team, there's huge funding available to go build stuff there.
Fantastic. Thanks for the slides, mate. I guess in wrapping up, just a reminder, guys, you can head over to Nuggets News for the free newsletter, all our paid research, and our high net worth services have actually become our most popular. First Tuesday of every month, we jump on a live call with Michael, I, and the team, and all the high net worths. And a lot of people now are looking to protect their wealth and their assets as the world's going crazy. And we've got most of the signups from people watching the Evil Elite series, which I found interesting as well. People that know the direction the world is heading. So, any final thoughts from you, Matt?
Yeah, I was actually just going to plug the Evil Elites. So obviously, I'm nothing to do with the Evil Elites, but I think it's a great series, and anyone who hasn't watched, go and check it out. You can see the rabbit hole, and I think it just ties in perfectly with the decentralized economy that the blockchain is trying to provide. And yeah, like I'm really thoroughly enjoying the group, and so if you are looking to become more sovereign, you want to take control of your own finance and kind of be a little bit insulated from what's going on in the world, definitely come and join the Nuggets in this community.
Links down below to sign up as always, guys, and follow us on all our socials. And Michael, I hope you get better, and we'll do this all again next week. Thanks, guys.